Hi, this is Bipolar Afterthoughts, and I'm your host, Liam Rosick. Now, this is a bit of a different one. This is going to be both a video and a podcast. With Bipolar Afterthoughts, we discuss various topics that lead into mental health, and today my guest is
Kai.
And what we will be discussing today is what it's like to be in a relationship with someone who has bipolar disorder, at least from Kai's perspective. And so, I don't know. What's the first thing that you would like to say? Okay. We have been together for 4 years now. He has seen my ups, he has seen my downs. What would you say would be the most challenging part about being with me, having bipolar and anxiety and PTSD?
I would...
At first, when we first got together.
I would say probably the new experience with that type of severity of what somebody can go through. Because before you had never experienced someone with so many mental illnesses and traumas from your past. So yeah, I'd say that was probably the hardest thing to, try to wrap my head around.
That makes sense. I know that if the situation were reversed and I had no idea, I would feel completely lost. I really would just not know what to do. But did it get easier at all?
I don't know if it got easier. I think I understand, or started to understand more and more as time went on. I mean, it has been over 4 years now, so and of course my maturity level, my brain wasn't exactly as it is now.
Of course.
I have a higher regard for understanding these days.
Yeah, of course. And also, throughout that though, not only did you gain understanding, but experience.
Yeah.
And you could see what others may view as laziness was actually severe depression.
Yeah, it's like the inside. I see the inside of what goes on.
Yeah. And I've gotten a lot better too, though, just in general with these disorders. I have gone to therapy. I have worked on myself a lot, so that must have made it a little bit easier as well.
Yeah. Yeah, and also I think it was a good way for me to help me in the sense that I don't feel all the pressure to help you is solely on me, which can, with my personality type, can be overwhelming.
I think it could be overwhelming for anyone. What would you say, and you can be completely blatant here because I am also a recovering alcoholic and drug addict. No hard drugs, but yeah. What would you say was the hardest time for you that was impacted because of my mental health? And in my opinion, addiction is a mental health issue. So.
Okay, well, since we're factoring in addiction, it would have to be last year, 2021 of January, mid to late January, when you relapsed.
Which I will be doing a whole video on that and addiction, just so you know, but continue.
Yeah, I'd say that was the hardest time for me, and mostly because I didn't know at first that you had relapsed. Very good at hiding it. But your actions and your addict brain forced you to seek out things that wasn't in our contract for our marriage.
Contract. It's okay.
I mean, things such as bringing in new people.
Although at first you were for that. Just saying. But that's a topic for a whole another time in my video where I will dissect what happened, month by month. I remember you also had a lot of worry once you realized I had relapsed, and I was trying to get better, but I kept relapsing, basically.
Yeah, definitely a lot of worry about your mental state, and with me going to work
At night.
Yeah, I work night shifts. Yeah, it was definitely worrisome because there's nobody really awake during the night that you could call for support, usually. Yeah, and also just nobody else. We don't have roommates, so there's nobody else here that can keep an eye on you or make sure you're safe.
Right, which I do want to point out that I feel ashamed that I have to have someone look after me, or I used to have to, but that's just what the situation called for at that time. Now it's a lot different. I'm sober, and I have, like I said, I've worked on myself, and I'm back in therapy now. It's been a bit over 2 months. And I don't know, would you say that's made any type of, compare me now to who I was this time last year?
Motivated, dedicated, active. This time last year you were
the opposite.
Pretty much the complete opposite of who you are now.
That wasn't me, really. It was the addict me, and it was also because I don't know if you know this, you probably do by now, but drinking and doing drugs can activate being manic, having me do things I wouldn't because of hypomania, and it can also cause the depression to get worse, and it can do a whole lot of things. You don't want to mix mental illnesses with substances, although unfortunately a lot of people with mental illnesses do that as a way of coping, because it is hard to have a mental illness, but it is also hard for those around us. Case in point.
Yeah. Even the aftermath of things, like now it's still hard and there's still worries. But I think the path of destruction that your addiction caused.
And my bipolar.
And yeah, your bipolar. And other mental illness still makes it hard to deal with things, and there's still that worry of if it's gonna take over again, or but what I was talking about earlier with my personality type, I get overwhelmed with too much emotion, and you're a very emotional person. You can be. You're very expressive with your emotions.
Okay, yeah, that's a better way of putting it. I'm not I don't fly off the handle at the slightest thing. I'm not. No. But no, I do really much. I'm good at being vulnerable. I'm good at that, and I like to talk about feelings, and you.
I don't.
Yeah, he does not. It's quite the odd pairing, actually. But I want you to think back. Can you remember the first time that you got overwhelmed due to my mental illnesses? Maybe anxiety, bipolar, whichever one of them that did. And maybe at the time you didn't know it was because of the bipolar or the anxiety. Is there anything that you can pull back from over 4 years ago?
If it wasn't anxiety, then it was the self-harm, and with that, mostly because I didn't understand it, like the mental process there is to that, and
it's very hard to
how it can be beneficial but also
It's mostly harmful. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's not really an instance though. I mean, that's a something.
Oh, if we're talking
Story,
specific.
yes, specific story of what happened.
Probably.
Maybe the first month, second, third, fourth, on and on.
I think, I don't know, I think second month. Yeah, the constant checking of your heart rate and the blood pressure cuff. It would be, I don't know, sometimes 10 times out of the day.
What is it now?
Almost hardly never. Hardly ever.
Yeah. Yeah, I've gotten a lot better.
Yeah.
Through a lot of hard work. It's hard work. And okay, what about now? What is the hardest thing for you about it now? Or what more, actually, scratch that. What is a thing that has happened recently where it kind of stressed you out or freaked you out, whatever? The most recent thing you can think of.
I would have to say the I don't know, it's hard to put into one moment, but the consistency of how much you replay old things that you used to do when you were drunk, or
What do you mean by replay?
like videos, like the sad videos, or
The songs.
Yeah, songs.
Like when I play songs or I watch things about relapsing or that kind of stuff.
I don't. It just takes me back to that dark period, and
which I was mostly blacked out for, so I don't remember a lot of it. And when I do remember, I don't know. But those videos, sometimes can help me not get back there. It reminds me of where I was.
Yeah, and I understand that.
Or songs.
When I think about it, I understand it. But as an initial reaction, it kind of overwhelms me and annoys me because I'm thinking, why are you sticking to stuff that you did from the past when you were not doing so good? And that makes me think to myself, well, you're not there anymore. Let's move into something positive. Like, let's watch something positive or focus on something positive you're doing now. But then when I actually think about it, I understand that. Well, for you anyways, it helps to keep you from going back to that point.
Yeah, it definitely can. Okay, so moving to now, are there points where you even forget I've got bipolar or anxiety?
Yeah. This is a hard one because it's not that I forget that you have these things. It's that sometimes the selfish part of me comes out and decides to disregard those facts and think more selfishly.
Can you give me an example? Something small, medium, that happened recently? Or, somewhat recently?
The thing that comes to mind is maybe anxiety.
Oh, yeah, that one's a bitch.
Yeah, sometimes I'll have an initial reaction of, oh, here we are again. But, I mean, yeah, I don't like to admit that because it is a selfish thing. It's not thinking about how you must be feeling in that moment.
Because it's not only do I have anxiety, I've almost died several times, and I grew up in a very toxic, scary household, and that kind of seeps into my life now in more ways than one. And so that, I would say, is why I don't. That's why I would say I don't think bipolar is the one that is affecting me the worst most of the time. It's usually the anxiety, just because that was my constant state with my body growing up, which is another video I will have to be doing. Some crazy shit went down, and you know about it. You heard it from my mom. So yeah. And then that I've been manic for the past 2.5, 3 weeks, I think it is. How is it for you when I'm manic?
Not great.
All the time? Or do you sometimes like the perks?
I sometimes like the perks, but in those moments, I mean, in any given time, I'm reminded that you're in a manic state, and takes me back brings me to reality of the situation. And
I mean, you don't always notice.
No, but
especially if it's something he likes to.
Like buying things.
Yeah, that you like. Which is
but
bad.
I think the biggest effect that really has on me is how you can get snappy sometimes out of nowhere. I mean, it comes very rarely, but
and how do I get snappy? Like, what do I do when I'm snappy? Is it my tone or my words? Like, do I curse at you? This is just for people who don't know, because we know. But do I curse at you? Am I what? What's the extent?
It's
most of the time.
Like, it's like a tone. It's like you're pissed off, but not exactly at me. But it's coming across as it is at me.
Oh God.
So it's like, it's not like just cussing at me, or
yeah, I don't think I don't do that,
or randomly just like yelling, or even yelling at all. It's just maybe like if I say something that you dislike in the moment, or if you're stressed out in the moment, it'll come across as a rude tone, or just an indication that you're mad at me for something.
Oh.
But yeah, in those moments it takes mental strength to bring myself down from like the argumentative side that I have, and just try to understand that you're not aiming it at me.
Right. And see, bipolar isn't me. It's a part of me. Same with anxiety. There are a lot of other things that make up who I am, and those are not the only two. This is the same with addiction. What are the upsides for you when I'm bipolar? Say when I'm manic, or even if I'm not manic, or if I'm lazy. Like, well, what are the upsides, in your opinion, if there are any at all?
Probably the spontaneity you can have.
I had that before I was bipolar, but
mainly with things like, oh, let's go on a hike, let's go on a drive, let's go to the mall, which is never a good idea because we end up spending way too much money, more than we have, which is not completely your fault. I'm agreeing to go with you, and
well, I mean, it's not like every time that's what we do.
No.
Like, we've gone to the mall and just gotten like one thing that we needed, like a raincoat or whatever.
Yeah.
So, is there anything else besides the spontaneity? Spontaneity. Okay. No. Yeah. I am manic. Anyway. Makes my words humble. What can I say?
I mean, it can make you motivated to the point you do things that you usually have a hard time with. Especially when the depressive episodes come out within that manic phase. But yeah, honestly, I can't think of too many upsides to it, really.
You want to know what I think are upsides?
What?
I think that having bipolar gives you a bit of an edge on understanding other people's emotions, being more patient. When you're in your normal state, you understand emotions better, I think. I think that you tend to be more empathic. I think that you can care more. You feel more, which is bad, but it's also good if you know how to handle it. I would say those are all good things.
Those are all good things.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so, were there times that you think may have been related to the bipolar or any other mental issue where you thought of leaving me at any point? And when it was, like what year it was or whatever, first year relationship, second, third, or fourth, or all of the above for all I know. And yeah.
Are we counting addiction in here?
No, not for this one. That will be the next question.
Okay. Well, there was that point in like 4 months after we got together in 2018.
2018, yeah.
Where we did have a break.
It was a trial separation.
Yeah.
Didn't work out.
But other than that, I can't think of a
What were you feeling at that time? What was going on? Like when you decided you needed a break?
A massive amount of feeling overwhelmed with, of course, just everything to do with us. And you are my first significant relationship.
First. Don't you mean first and only?
So far. I'm just kidding.
I am going to literally get violent.
Okay, Maddie.
Yeah, I know. That's what I was taking it from. Yeah. I hope it's not just for now, but you never know. We could totally just divorce tomorrow. Well, you just never know.
Happen.
I don't think so either, but no one can tell the future. So.
Yeah, for me at that point, I mean, I'm not going to say my age, but I was still...
Okay, no, hold on. You have to say your age now because that sounds really bad when you just say it like that.
Okay, fine. 17. I was 17.
Yeah, and I was 20, and we were living in Idaho, and that was the limit. And to be fair, he lied to me at first and said he was 18.
I don't think anybody cares about our age.
It matters when they're saying, like, I'm not going to say my age. Like the way you did. I don't know. But anyway, sorry, babe. Continue.
Anyway, I am, but I was young at that point, and in that time I didn't really care about responsibilities or
that's true.
Focusing on my goals, or I didn't even have goals.
Right. Isn't that so weird that at that time I was one who was so focused on goals. I was really oriented with that. I was really trying for things, and I told you that if you were to be with me, you couldn't do any hard drugs.
Yeah.
Like I would not accept. Like I don't want to be with anyone who does hard drugs. Yeah. And then fast forward. Now we can get into the next question. Was there a time you thought of leaving me due to addiction? Which, by the way, again, never any hard drugs, but still drinking primarily and bad drugs.
Yes. Last
Lovely.
year, this time. or January, or this time.
Really, I think it was probably from mid-January to about midsummer. Maybe that's the time period.
Yeah. Well,
like
no, because that's a long period.
I know. I'm just saying I was bad during those times.
I would say from mid-January to March or April.
Okay.
Yeah, and it was a really heavy period for you, but also those around you.
Of course.
Just me and one other person at that point. And we were both trying
Oliver.
Yeah, and we were both trying to help you through all of that. And I think that took away from us.
It did, especially because I leaned on Oliver a little bit more than I leaned on you. Because I've known Oliver for about 7 years at this point. And Oliver said the reason he didn't leave me as a friend is because he could tell every time I opened up a drink, I would like momentarily stare at it. Like he could see that I did not want to continue doing this. I didn't want to continue this life, and I was constantly asking for help.
Yeah.
And trying. I was always trying, even if it was just this small. I was always trying. Of course, that does not diminish or take away from the pain or anything else that it caused you to. But at least I was always trying, which is why I think I'm where I am today.
Yeah.
With the help of you and Oliver.
Yeah, I agree. But I think the reason for me it was so heavy and why I had the thought of I have to get out of this situation is because I grew up with situations like that.
Just like I did.
Yeah, with my family. I'm, drug addicts in my family. And I don't know, it was very hard for me to see that every day. Almost every waking moment.
Yeah, it was pretty much from the moment I woke up to the time I went to bed when I would drink.
Yeah, and just trying to fight through my own needs as a human being who's
right, trying to... I neglected you.
Who's trying to be happy and want to live, grow as a person. It was very hard to try to pick up your pieces and help you through that. But that is the thought, like Oliver had, was that I could see that you were trying and you wanted better. And so that, I think, is the only reason that I'm still here.
And because you love me.
Well, yeah, and because I love you. But in that moment, at that time, I could love you from a distance.
Do you see right now a light at the end of the tunnel? Or could you have imagined at that time that this is where we'd be right now? Or did it just seem pitch black in those dark moments?
It seemed like there was a very faint light at the end of things. But I definitely didn't think that we would be, or you would be, where you're at this point so soon.
What can I say? Kidding. No. Yeah, I have worked very, very hard, and I am still working very, very hard. But now back to the bipolar. They say the sex is great with bipolar people. Would you agree?
I think so. And I think the spontaneity of it.
Oh, God.
Can be great.
I wonder who that's going to listen to this. Sorry for that, by the way. If you're, yeah, sorry.
Family members.
Yeah. So we've talked about the bad, the good of anxiety, bipolar, and addiction. Do you think there's anything that my bipolar, what can happen when someone's in a hypomanic state, or a depressive state for that matter? do you think that there's anything that I could do that would cause you to immediately leave? No questions asked. Let's take addiction out. Oh God, look at my hair. Sorry.
I think the only thing that could force me to leave without thought or question of it would be if you physically attacked me in a way that...
So PTSD.
No, not necessarily. Yeah, just an unwarranted amount of aggression from you that would lead me physical harm.
Of course. And well, what about cheating? Hypomania. Sometimes that happens. We've had discussions about that prior to this, so I just wanted to bring that up.
That is
such a gray area. It's hard.
It's a very gray area.
It's like, well, you weren't you, but you are you. And
that, I mean, it's such a gray area that it would leave me to think about what my next actions should be. It wouldn't just be leaving you on the spot because it's such a gray area. And the only reason that it's different from physically harming me is, I mean, there's not...
Well, one's you're in danger. One is you're in danger. The other one is, I mean, you're emotionally in danger, but...
It's not... I mean, for me anyway, it's not the same.
But either way, I feel we need to take away the stigma of bipolar, of PTSD, anxiety, drug addiction, borderline personality disorder, everything. We need to take away the stigma because there was this book I read one time. And it was called Bipolar. It was Bipolar for Dummies. And there was also one called Borderline Personality for Dummies. And the borderline personality one, I read that, and the examples it gave were so absurd. And I've done a lot of research into a lot of different mental health illnesses, and including ones I do not have. I'm no expert, but the examples they gave in this book were atrocious, and just I was so mad at that book. I know it's for dummies, but still there's a lot of stigma, especially for borderline people with BPD, you know, even bipolar. Still, it's getting better, but still. And even with depression, I mean, you know, mental health days are a thing. I don't understand why at this point, with all this science and all this stuff, we still have this stigma. And I get why it can be a problem or a conflict in a relationship, because it's hard for everyone involved, as you said. But at the same time, we just all need to be more understanding, I think, and we just need to learn. What would you say? We need to learn what?
I would say we need to educate ourselves.
Exactly. That's a good way of putting it.
Misunderstanding things leads to fear and awful behavior from people who don't know what it's like to suffer with these mental illnesses. And I think the people who are in my situation, who first-handedly see these situations, I think it's important to educate yourself a little more, to know how to...
do research.
Yeah, do research to try and help your partner or whoever it is that you know.
Or even see if you can handle it, because some people can't, and that's okay. But you... I mean, to blame it on their mental illness is, I don't know. That just feels a bit icky to me. That could be a personal thing. But if you were to look it up and do all this research and you decide at the end, okay, I don't think I can handle this, because say you have depression yourself or whatever it may be, like, just be honest about it.
Yeah.
And yeah, that's what I would say. What about you?
Try to, I would say, remove yourself from that situation in the most respectful way you can.
Exactly. Yeah. And with who I am overall, with the bipolar in it and everything, how much of a struggle is it overall to be with me, to be with someone who has bipolar disorder, and all the other things, of course, too, but bipolar disorder, how much of a struggle is it beyond? And you can be totally honest.
I would say it's a daily struggle for someone like me because of how easily overwhelmed I can get.
So does that mean that I do it every single day? Like, it shines through every single day, I guess.
Not necessarily. It doesn't shine through every single day, and if it shines through more consistently, sometimes it's like a fraction of what it could be.
Right.
And I'm not saying that it's a bad thing, that it's a daily thing to struggle with, because in a sense, I want to be struggling with it with you. Because, I mean...
And that's sweet, but what?
I mean, we're a team, you know?
We are a team,
and so I want to be here to help you.
I think the thing that you also meant to say about the daily thing was maybe the fact that I'm more emotional and vulnerable.
Yeah.
Maybe. I don't know. I'm not you. I'm not trying to,
No, yeah, that is the thing with me and getting overwhelmed.
I guess the last question. Sorry I interrupted you.
I was basically done.
Huh. Well, I guess the last question would be, would you leave me due to a bipolar episode? Do you think it's worth it to be with someone who has bipolar or anxiety or depression?
Totally. I mean, like you stated earlier, people with those types of mental illnesses can be more caring, more affectionate, more considerate.
And if they get the help they need, which, I mean, let's talk about affordable health care some other time, shall we? But if they get the help they need, even more so.
Yeah. I think if you have these mental issues going on, you should get some help.
I think
therapy.
Yes. Medication.
Yeah, if
a good diet.
Yeah, if you can find a good medication.
Yeah, as you know, for me, it's been very, very hard to find a good medication. It's been very, very hard. But I'm still trying. After 11 years of trying, because I'm turning 25 this year. Love it.
Old.
Who did your hair?
We both did.
Oh, that's cute. Who did your makeup?
You did.
Yes, I did. All right, well, anyway, this was Bipolar Afterthoughts, and ultimately, if you need help, please reach out. Please get it. If you can. If you're suicidal, there are hotlines. I think I'll link those phone numbers down below. And as always, please like, subscribe, do not share because of this face. And
feel free to comment.
Feel free to comment, and I hope that you'll see me again in the next one. And don't want to get too graphic or cheesy. Bye.
Bye.